If you had to save the world with one vehicle, would you pick a dump truck?
Let's find out. Oh, that's it. That's it. Hey, I'm Harrison.
And I'm John, and we host this podcast.
That's right. And this week, it is another feature episode
Where we take on one beer we picked from last week's episode and turn it into a full movie pitch.
right now. So get ready to get in deep with Dump Truck of Doom.
But first, very important. Remember to hit that subscribe button or like button, or here's something I've actually never asked for before. Leave us a review. I hear most of the podcast apps like those. So
Totally.
if you have something to say about the show, that's a good public place to do it if it's kind. If it isn't kind, never mind.
If it isn't kind, never mind. That's what they say. I like that. All right, cool. Well, we're going to waste no time. We've got a whole bunch of trucking and dumping and voices to do for you guys tonight. We'll see what happens, where this thing goes. As always, we're pumped to do it. Okay, so let's start with what we kind of got through last week on the Fast Five, because again, we kind of have the bones of this thing, but now we get to flesh it all out. So what the heck did we kind of think up of when we landed on the final version of Dump Truck of Doom? There were some variations.
It was fun. I think what I remember is it's about a Miami nightclub.
Oh, no.
And there's a girl in the nightclub that has a dump truck that
got
will
a
put you in the grave.
It'll drown you.
Still gonna wait in line for that was probably my most. That'll be my saddest movie we didn't make.
Yeah.
But for this one, I remember what really sold me on it, Harrison, was turning the dump truck into Nick Nolte.
Yes. Get ready to try to hear us do some Nick Nolte tonight, because it's gonna happen. And we'll see how successful we are. That was fun. It's always fun to bring old dust Nick off and pull him out of the coffin.
I've been eating glass for the last 5 minutes.
We smoked a pack of Marlboros when we were getting ready to film this part of the episode. Just being professional. So yeah, right, Nick Nolte is the voice of this dump truck. Wait a second, the dump truck has a voice. So
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
So I think the world we're about to jump into is one where supernatural things happen, which is, surprise, also this world, but that's for another time. So someone's got to deal with it. So this cool agency that you kind of invented on the spot, the Supernatural Investigation Agency.
Which I know what you're thinking, John. That spells Sia.
Well,
in this movie,
don't-
because of my dyslexia, it's Psy. Psy is the name of the Supernatural Investigation Agency.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we say pneumatic. It should be pneumatic. So don't worry about how things sound, should sound.
Harrison.
Everything's a lie that you know. So including that there aren't any ghosts and goblins and ghouls. If someone's telling you that, they're probably one of them. That's the first thing you learn on day one at Psy. So
My teacher told me ghosts were fake. Your teacher is a ghoul.
teacher is the devil. Well, I know that. No, I mean the devil. So, okay. So we're jumping into this world, in this organization that has to deal with it. And it's very Men in Black, like, they're showed up at the right time and tackling goblins and aliens and werewolves and vampires and whatever they got to do to keep the world of the living safe. But go ahead.
Is this like a bigger, like the world mostly knows that these monsters and things exist? Is it like maybe 50-50, where some people are like, no, the earth is flat. No, it's actually full of zombies and werewolves.
I think it's very close to the world we live in now, where like someone sees Bigfoot in the woods, another person sees a bear with scoliosis,
And then the dump truck shows up.
right? And then everyone in town sees the bear with scoliosis. So, it's exactly right. Yeah. So it's very similar to this world, and so this agency works in the shadows, erasing people's memories, doing stuff that they need to do to keep everything quiet and everybody happy, paying their bills, watching Netflix, eating frozen pizzas, and doing that until we all die. So
What's the agent? So this agency, like, it's super secret. Like, the NSA is basically a publicly traded company compared to this agency,
100%.
the Psi agency, but they still have a crest in their 5th level underground offices.
Right.
What does it
In New
say
Jersey.
on the crest? Like, what's this agency, like, Memento Mori? Like, what's this agency's motto?
That's good. I think that's going to be important for the whole show, as is, all those agencies have some kind of something that everyone's kind of a mission statement they're buying into. And so for this one, it can be definitely cryptic because we're dealing with supernatural things. I like something like shape the world and protect the future.
Very, like, clandestine.
Right.
I like that.
Let's go with that. So you're not really saying anything, but maybe
Yeah.
you are.
Shape the world and protect the future could be Dyson vacuums.
Right.
But I like that. It just says that, like, on the crest.
On the crest, and around. And this is let's have this be in New Jersey. We haven't done Jersey, have we? Let's just in New Jersey, the home of all the weird ghouls and goblins out there. If you've ever,
If there is a haunted state.
right? Oh man, it had a drink at the Jersey Shore somewhere. You've seen a lot of ghouls and goblins stumbling around. You just didn't realize it. Now, so that could be maybe where this story starts. But yeah, that's the motto. And I think so. Our protagonist, though, as we kind of talked about in the Fast Five, is that okay? You've got this cool agency full with cool agents doing cool stuff, wearing sunglasses. They've got magical weapons. They drive around in Coupe de Villes or whatever they have.
Really secret agent.
Yeah, super secret, the most secret, and but that's not what the story is about. This story is about basically the janitor at the White House. Like, this is the guy who's like, "Hey, you work at the White House? Yeah, I plunge toilets there." Right? No one has enough
Has
fiber.
to have a plumber too.
Right, fiber is a problem. So that's the story we're telling, is the story of, and we're gonna name him Greg. So even though we chose this beer from the real world last week, sitting right in front of us, so nobody checked it in, Greg did share another beer with us on Instagram. So Greg, congratulations, you drive a dump truck.
driver.
All your dreams are coming true at once. I'm sure it's pretty overwhelming.
For a secret agency, so
Yeah.
you can't even tell your mom, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Tell nobody about this. Greg,
what are you doing for work? I'm unemployed.
right. They make the bugs that bug people's phones. These guys are the deepest of the deep in the darkness. Okay, so we have Greg, and Greg is, again, not one of these glamorous people, drives the truck. I think he absolutely wanted to be one of the cool Psi agents that are out there kicking Frankenstein in the junk that doesn't exist. However you take that of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, I should say. So wanted to be all those things. Nope, sorry, didn't make the cut, but we don't need someone to pick up the garbage, so here you go, drive this truck. So he's a young kid. I'm seeing, again, kind of hit a lot of dead ends in his life, and this kind of feels no different.
Yeah, tell me about, okay, so Greg, God bless you, you're a protagonist. You're the underperforming dump truck driver for the top secret agency. But tell me, like, give me a little bit of a picture of Greg, specifically, like, what is it about him that they were like, you're not gonna be a secret agent today, like, you're just too soft, you never played football, like, what?
Right. I think that's it. I think he kind of, through these tests he had to do that he continuously failed to become an agent, it became apparent that, like, maybe he's sitting there thinking those things, didn't play football, not big enough, blah, blah, blah. And maybe the agent trainer is like, it's none of those things, kid. You just don't believe in yourself. You haven't done anything. You've lived a life in a bubble, basically. He could be like an iPad kid in the future that like gets a real job and is like, I don't know how to have a conversation. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything about anything. Maybe he's a little better than that. But yeah, he just like really doesn't believe in himself, but he believes in the cause, and that's very evident. So they kind of, I don't know, take pity on him. It's more probably like a logistical thing of like, well, he tried out for this agency and he's the first guy that failed the test. We've got Navy SEALs, Marines, like Secret Service guys banging down the door trying to get here. Somehow Greg's resume popped in this file.
Like he actually applied to be like a barista,
Right.
but he got the mailbox mixed up.
Exactly. Someone shuffled the wrong piece of paper.
I'm envisioning him like, not necessarily like a total dweeb.
Okay.
Like he's probably somewhat competent, but I want him to almost be like he's a good dude, but he's humble to a fault.
Okay.
Like
Humble. Yep. I like that.
He's not the Navy SEAL guy, right? Like, I did 13 tours. I took down 45 enemy combatants by myself.
Right.
My platoon was obliterated by gunfire.
Yeah.
And Greg is like, I mean, I thought this was, do you make coffee?
Right, exactly right. I know how to steam a mean latte. Right. Your resume says something about Blockbuster, then there's 8 years of nothing. Yeah. Can you tell us about that? So yeah, he's right. I like that. So he's not not a total loser dweeb. I almost see him as kind of like, oh boy, almost just like the most average Joe ever. Like he's almost so average he's invisible. Like people aren't like beating up on him because he's, got tape on his glasses and he's wearing pants that are 2 sizes too big and tripping over himself.
Just kind of blend.
Right. He's just kind of invisible. He's just a forgettable guy, which that hurts. Feels like an NPC a lot of the times with the way his life is going. So again, kind of spinning his wheels, and then he catches a break, feels a little optimistic. Oh, cool. This whole world I didn't know about exists. I got to try out, but I fail. I'm the drunk truck driver. So yeah, he's kind of on the inside. He definitely is, but he's
love this. I'm envisioning Greg at a college party.
Right. Okay.
The party's getting rowdy. You
Okay.
got all your typical people there doing keg stands and stuff. Someone spills a beer and Greg swoops in. Oh, I'll clean that up.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's already got paper towels.
Right. Somehow.
And, like, the girl who got the beer spilled, she's like, "Oh my god, I didn't even know you were here." He's like,
Yep.
"Yeah, I'm Greg. I'm actually in class
Right.
next to you." And they start talking
together for years.
And then like one of the jock guys is like, "Yo, what do you do? Come over here. It's your turn to do a keg stand." She's like, "All right, see you later, Greg." Like
Right.
that's the story of his life.
Right.
Good intentions, but kind of soft spoken.
Right. And that continues as the dump truck driver. Maybe he's bummed out, doesn't get the agent job, but he's still on the inside. He's still working for Sign. So maybe he feels like he could be buddy with the agents, but it's the same thing here. He's just the dump truck guy. By the time he shows up to any of these crazy alien saucer crashes or a werewolf ate everybody in this diner or whatever, like the agents are high-fiving and heading out to have a beer, and he's just left with a bunch of limbs he's got to scoop up in this truck and get rid of somewhere. So he's not even really part of the team. He's just the garbage guy.
Janitor with a cool truck.
Right,
The
exactly.
dump truck of doom.
Right, the dump truck of doom. And that is the coolest part about it is like, right, in an agency like this where you're dealing with monsters all the time, it's all about naming conventions, John. It's all about scaring them with marketing.
We can't give you a raise, but you are the dump truck of doom driver.
That's it.
That dump truck has carried the dead remains of every creature that's ever tried to destroy humanity.
That's
And
right.
we entrust you with the keys. Beep, beep. There you go. Don't lose them. There's only one set.
Exactly right. And you can't change the battery. So don't even try. Don't touch our logo on the back. And so so again, even that, he's bummed out. Okay, but maybe there's a silver lining. I can still be on the team. They don't even see him like that. So he's definitely bummed out, probably envious of the agents, questioning his life, but whatever, he has a job and just kind of feels stuck and lost, which a lot of people do. And so that's kind of probably where we meet Greg is like, doing one of these runs where the agents are like, "Oh, hey, Glenn, didn't see you there. Well, we're off." There's a lot of blood and a lot of intestines, but you know what to do.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. It's Greg. Great job with this one.
All right, Gary. We'll see you next time.
Okay, cool.
First round's on me, guys. Woo!
Oh, not for me. All right, yeah.
And so he's there just scooping stuff up with the dump truck, and maybe he's driving back and stops at a didn't see an old lady walking in the road, and the truck kind of jerks around, and he's like, what the heck, this old pile of garbage, and then sees this nice old lady walking in front of him, and he's like, oh, I guess I got lucky there. So the truck's even acted up on him, and he's like, my God, the people ignore me, my truck's crap in the bed. This sucks.
Stalling in a pedestrian walkway. Right. But honestly, exactly. Thanks. That worked out.
That worked out well.
Don't want to get written up.
Yep. So it's a truck with a little bit of a character to it, perhaps, and yeah. So that's happening. He's cleaning up a mess like he does every time some crazy thing happens, and maybe he overhears a conversation about never seen a vampire and a goblin working together before, but the first time for everything. Could be blew them all to smithereens tonight or whatever. So picks up on that of maybe this was an unusual event tonight, unlike a lot of the other ones. All the agents head back to the agency. Greg cleaning stuff up, taking it to their secret dump site, like a graveyard for supernatural things, which of course is highly secure. So he's dumping
whatever river runs through New Jersey.
Right, exactly right.
By the dock.
That's right. This is definitely leaching the groundwater.
Drinking water. Just dump it right there. That's our spot.
Don't worry about it. Just lock up after you're done. So he's doing that. He's doing the dump truck stuff, being bummed. And I think this is when kind of the movie can really kick off. So as he's the only person at Psy, not at Psy. I think we talked about this in the Fast Five, but some huge attack happens. Some coordinated supernatural attack on the Psy headquarters, which is under an Amazon warehouse in New Jersey. So raid that, and all the Psy agents are dead. And maybe he's dumping the garbage, sitting near the truck, and the radio comes on. Anyone on this channel? Oh my God, they're everywhere. Oh, it's monsters and goblins and ghouls. Oh, they're killing everybody. And Greg's like, what the hell? And maybe he jumps into the truck and turns it on and is ready to go, and then kind of freezes as he hears all these highly trained agents get murdered over the airwaves. He's got a cold sweat. These guys are paralyzed with fear.
The best killers in the world of supernatural things and enemy combatants. But
right,
I like that. Now's my chance. And then I love that, the scene of him just freezing as the truck is right.
The truck's revving that engine, and he just won't push down on the accelerator and just kind of sits there for a second and shuts it off. But he knows, okay, everyone at Psy is dead. My God, am I the only one left? Who's going to stop all these monsters? How did this happen? His head's full of questions. And usually he'll go back at the end of the night, drop the dump truck off, and get in his, 20-year-old Corolla with the missing tail light and half a bumper and drag that thing home. But he's like, I'm not going back to the office. But I'm tired. I don't know what to do. I'll figure this out in the morning. Drives home, which he doesn't live by himself, but he drives a dump truck home. Let's have that happen this time. Maybe he lives in his brother's garage. Where does Greg live?
We've used Grandma before.
Yes.
I don't think Greg is confident enough to get his own place. That would almost be too sad.
He really has no money, right?
So he's renting his brother's garage. His brother is
Wayne's
married.
World style.
They maybe they have a kid even. His brother is definitive American success, and Greg rents his garage.
Yes.
So he pulls a dump truck into the driveway, takes up 2 spots, maybe in the ballsiest move of his whole entire life. He's
right.
I'm parking in the driveway, and I'm taking up both spots.
I'm
Ted
exhausted.
can park in the road.
Yeah, I like that. And then he just lays down in his bed in the garage, and you just hear Ted going, what the hell is this? Why am I supposed to park my car? And he just goes, screw you, Ted, and just covers his head with his pillow. And he's laying there kind of thinking about all the people that he worked with that's dead, the cute secretary, she's probably dead, everyone at Psy is dead, all these monsters are in the world, and there's nobody to stop them, and what do I do? Clearly just overwhelmed with what's happening. He probably cowboys a lot of stuff.
If he puts the news on, let's say he checks the news, like, are we already seeing the effects of size, dispersal, explosion, where like there's reports of goblins attacking a 7-Eleven and ruining the slurpee machine? Like hijinks are starting to happen, and now the world is starting to see like,
yes,
holy, where did all this come from?
The veil has been lifted. It's unreal how close we are at any given moment to an invasion of a supernatural army, and now we're seeing that the final kind of defense, the Psi organization has fallen. And so, I think that is it. He's laying in bed in the garage, trying to ignore Ted yelling, covering his head with the pillow, freaking out, thinking about like, how much money do I have? Can I escape? Can I go to another country? Can I change my name? I got to get rid of this dump truck. It's a Psi dump truck. The monsters probably know about it. Well, like, what the heck am I going to do? I need my car. It's at the office. It's probably covered in monster goo. And like, again, whole time with his head under their pillow, and then kind of hears Ted and Ted's wife like yelling upstairs, and the yelling changes tone a little bit, and he's like, what are they freaking out about? And I think he runs upstairs and sees like the TV on, and it's CNN or whatever, and goblins throwing people out of a Circle K and picking people up at train stops and dropping them into a river, and ghosts in the town hall haunting all the statues and bringing
steal a little bit from Ghostbusters. Not just ghosts with like a sheet over their head, but like all kinds of weird versions of supernatural ghosts, like giant fat blob ghosts and spiky ghosts and animal cat creature ghosts.
Right, exactly. All the dead pets, they're just coming out of the ground. But still, yes, the world is having a really hard time right now. So we don't have time to sit and mope and stuff. And maybe like dumb Ted, like, with his wife beater on, grabs a baseball bat and is like, not in our town. I'm going down I'll go down to the diner and meet the boys, and we'll take these things out ourselves. And Greg's like, you idiot, you're gonna get killed. And he's like, you don't know anything, you can't help. Like, you're nothing, Greg. You're just
driving a dump truck.
Right, you're just a janitor for some dumb Amazon warehouse. You're nothing. You can't help there. You can't help pay rent. You can't help with anything. You're worthless. And so Greg's already in the dumps. His brother sends him even deeper, and runs out the door in his wife beater with his baseball bat. And Greg's just shaking his head, and he's like, oh my God, like if my brother's doing this, how many thousands of other people? I mean, I saw some on the news. Who else is trying to fight these things? They have no idea what they are. At least I kind of could help. And so I think in a rare moment for Greg, and this is big, he grabs the dump truck keys and a Gatorade and a ham sandwich and heads into the truck, and is like, it's going to be a long night of, I don't know, me trying to figure out how to beat these things. And it takes that first step. I think that's a big deal. I think that kicks off a chain of events that will change Greg's life forever. As often happens when you take that leap and get out of your comfort zone, sometimes things change quick.
Whenever you're leaving your comfort zone, bring a ham sandwich.
Gatorade.
You're gonna want that. And of course, some electrolytes to keep the fuel going. But I like this. So this is like a moment for Greg to kind of get back in the truck where he was frozen.
Yes.
Like because Greg he's probably interested in the supernatural. Like he's probably one of the more well-researched people that worked at Psi. Like he has a little bit of book knowledge about these things. He wanted to be one of the agents that fought them, and now all those agents are gone. So I think as this is going on, the CNN's talking about this chaos inflicting, his brother's going out. I think there's probably enough where he's going to reach that tipping point and say, like, all right, this is my time now. I'm the only Psi agent left.
Yep. So he grabs all his paranormal books that he has, but he already has all that knowledge in his head. That's good. I like that. And heads out to the truck and
wait. Instead of putting on his typical like Dickies one suit for cleanup, he grabs like a JC Penney suit that he bought for when he became an agent. Not a Psi agent suit, but he's like, he grabs that, like that's his like suit of armor confidence where he's like, yes, I'm doing it, and gets the sunglasses out.
I like that. Okay, that's great. And so he jumps into the truck, and and I don't know how you want this to happen, but I think essentially he'll like, he'll put the key in the truck, and instead of the normal kind of engine kicking on, he hears there you are. And he's like, what the hell is that? What station do I have the radio on?
Yes. The radio never worked in this thing.
Right, never has, thought it never would. Not the radio, kid. It's me.
Dump truck.
The truck. And we get to all hear Nick Nolte in all his glory, which we'll work on throughout the night. But I think because Greg takes this leap and gets brave, the truck is gonna like show its true form to Greg now and wake up and assist him, and everything happens next. So the truck's alive.
So we're not going to exposition this in the movie
Sure.
right now. You're just going to see Greg start his own
100%.
reliable dump truck, and then it's going to take a second before you realize like the truck is, we'll say, sentient enough
Yes.
to interact with Greg.
Yes, 100%. Sentient enough, and then some. Well, right, as awake and alive as Nick
I mean,
Nolte can be.
sentient is Nick Nolte. Yeah.
Go get me a carton of smokes and let's get this show on the road. Right? Are you talking to me, truck? You smoke cigarettes? Never mind now. And so so this is gonna be his sidekick, or maybe Greg is the sidekick to the truck. But yeah, he becomes alive, and maybe I think not even maybe. I think definitely, like Greg's like, okay, so here's what I think, and the truck just takes off and starts driving itself, and he's like, we've got things to do. Try to keep up, kid.
I like this. So the truck literally takes the wheel.
Yes.
Not Jesus, the truck.
The truck
takes the wheel and starts driving. Greg just found a little bit of confidence to don his homemade size suit,
right.
and he's like squeezing his ham sandwich as the truck is driving through the roads. Like,
Right.
where are we going?
Right.
Size the other way. So is the truck gonna try and explain a little bit, especially for me, where are we going? What's the truck's agenda now?
Right. So I think, and we can figure out how we, again, exposition this, show it to the audience, what have you. But I think what's happening, so we need to figure this out, and probably now is a good time to do it. And the truck could just simply be like, they're not I need to find the better Nick Nolte. Jeff, you have a better Nick Nolte, John. I really need to get low in the day. They're not at it.
Feeding me diesel, kid.
But I think the dump truck, knows that they're not at the base anymore, that Pandora's box has been opened, and they're somewhere else important. So that's where the truck's taken, not to the base, but taking them
In New Jersey.
somewhere else in New Jersey, maybe taking them towards the Jersey Shore. I mean, okay, hold on. I think that's where they're going, towards Wildwood, where a lot of crazy things happen. And again, plenty of ghouls and goblins living there. No offense, but you know who you are.
You're not listening.
And so, yes, so they start ripping down the Jersey Turnpike going that way. And so I think now is a great time to explain like why this all happened, what happened, what's going on with the monsters, supernatural, why was the base attacked, why is this all coordinated, why are monsters that don't usually work together working together. And as all evil things, there's some human behind this. And so we could probably a good idea to learn that like whether he was one of the agents or just somebody high up inside. We have a traitor in our midst, John, who has made some deal for some reason we don't understand yet, but has decided that the Earth is doomed and it's best to be on the side of these monsters and supernatural things and try to be some dumb human holding on to hope that's long been lost and gone. And we need to give this guy a sweet name, and talk a little bit about a little bit more about what his plan is. But that might be, I don't know if the truck is tuned into that. We can get there in a second. But
So this would be in the movie. I think the way we would show this is the truck is barreling outside of Greg's apartment neighborhood and everything, and it's heading towards the shore. It says, we're going to the shore.
there we go.
We got some work to do. We got some training to do.
And then we cut from here and we go to the scene. So now you're telling me we've learned that this was an inside job.
Yeah.
And so we could cut to a scene where this insider, someone in agency,
Maybe we don't even know yet. It could be a cloaked figure and kind of like the first part is done.
Ooh, okay, so I like
So let's start
the inside
let's
job
tease
is
a little
nice
bit.
place to go.
Yeah,
but
we're not there
We
yet.
don't reveal this to the audience yet. We just cut to a cloaked figure,
Yep.
and you see like they're wearing their cloaked figure, and they're talking to they're like in a supernatural like a castle in
Cool.
in Camden.
Perfect, right on the Delaware. The Delaware. I love that. The castle, the old Campbell's Soup Factory.
and you see you get an insight into like the base of operations for the
This is
supernatural.
great.
And they're like, our time.
How about
our time is coming?
And I think it could be a hooded figure, and like maybe you see like the leader of the vampires and the leader of the werewolves and the leader of the demons like walk in, and they all like, human? And the guy's like, enough. And you don't see his face yet. And they're like, why are we here? Why have you released us? And he just pulls out a book we don't see. And they're like, oh, you intend to do this. It will end your world. And he's like, let me worry about that. And they all laugh, evil laughs, and you go into the night and do what you do best and, go terrorize a bunch of people. So maybe that's all we see is, again, Greg's holding on for his dear life in his crappy suit,
back to
flying down the highway. And the truck's like, get that suit off, you idiots. Wear your dickies. We need something stronger than that two-piece suit to deal with what we got to deal with.
So the truck is taking him to the shore.
Yeah,
where
right.
there's an influx of more bad things,
More bad things happening.
happen.
And maybe even not a lot yet. Maybe what the truck is doing, and we don't know this yet as the audience, but he's Wayne Gretzkying this. He's going to where the puck's gonna be. Like the truck kind of instantly is put together that like if all this is happening, all these supernatural beings working together, that can only mean one thing. And if I'm right, we're going to be at the ocean at some point dealing with this, so I'm going to go there now. So he's kind of, he definitely is taking Greg even a little bit away from the epicenter of the chaos, because again, knows that it's going to get crazy there soon when it matters, but also Greg is a mushy ball of clay. Greg is still a pile of mostly lame that this truck needs to harden into a Gumby-like character that's, okay, still a little bendy, but at least looks like he could accomplish something.
So
I
it's
need some time to do that. Yes,
Maybe
exactly.
not even a movie montage, but
Yeah.
we're going on like a regimen. So, and there might be some allusions, like just stylistically, where as the truck drives away, you see like a little gleam on it and stuff to start to get an idea that this truck is more than just a talking dump truck.
Yes, exactly.
But nothing's revealed yet. But I think this truck is going to be more powerful than just like a talking truck.
Right.
And we've got some training to do. So like
Got some training to do.
this, I think this could be
This is
more
gonna
just
be a
fun.
blast.
In
Yes.
the movie, we probably won't elaborate on every instance. We definitely won't elaborate on.
Oh, but I'm seeing it things like he kicks him out of the truck. Like, what are you doing? He's like, all right, get back in, and it's locked. And then the truck throws the door open and kicks Greg down. He's like, all right, come on, dodge the door. And Greg's like, dodge the door. Figure it out, kid. And just Greg keeps getting concussion after concussion as he gets hit with the door. Stuff like that. A fun Rocky-like training montage with bits of wisdom sprinkled in there from the Nick Nolte truck, who's
starts honking the horn, and a couple of like ghostly ghouls come walking around the corner.
There we go.
Now show me what you got, kid.
Right. No, you can't run away. Exactly. So teaching him a bit about that, how to deal with some of these creatures. I love it. There's a montage, there's lessons, there's learning, and of course, like, Greg just fails all of the first lessons. And maybe like, how about this? Maybe Greg can, in keeping with his nerddom, again, he's not a total loser, but he definitely is into some alternative things. Maybe he took like fencing at some point.
Yeah.
And so he's failing with everything, but in one of the tasks where he's got to pick up an old piece of rebar and, like, you know, stab something in the heart to kill it, the truck kind of summons out of the bushes. He like does that in the first try, and the truck's like, "Purr, fooled me, thought that was going to be the one that took you down.
Yeah,
Guess I'm not too old to be surprised," or something like that.
Because the main goal of this little cutaway is that we see Greg stumbling to dodge a door, and then there's more train. Sometimes the dump truck's like blasting its high beams to blind the enemies to save Greg, and then eventually we get to a point where you see Greg's like kind of true power, and even if he's like, well, Greg is like, well, I knew, you know, based on what I've seen and read about, that, you know, that type of ghost is pretty slow on its feet, so if I could just come in with a quick jab.
There we go.
And now we start to see Greg kind of developing a little bit of discovery in himself and confidence in himself, that he isn't just a kid that gets kicked out of a truck and hit with a door, but if he uses what works for him, he's actually got, you can have a little bit of confidence.
You apply the knowledge in those books with some action, you can get somewhere, Greg. Keep going.
By the
Again,
way, shoes untied, door swings open, knocks him over.
Gotta be ready for anything. High beams. My eyes, my glasses. So this is great. So this is happening in some fun little Jersey Shore town. Again, meanwhile, the core of New Jersey is overrun with crazy bad people and all cool, creepy monsters of the night. But they are clearly heading Greg and the dump truck of doom's way. But this is awesome, an awesome kind of time for him to discover a bit about himself, learn more about these ghouls, these goblins. I think the truck doesn't quite reveal like why they're at the shore.
got other things to worry about, like this door.
But you know, wants him focusing on being prepared for this fight.
Yeah, and there's probably there's definitely some what are we even doing here? Why am I even here?
Exactly.
Don't worry about why you're here. I'll tell you when you're done, kid.
Like, there's some back and forth, but I think this section of the film, which probably is only maybe 10 or 15 minutes long, but it's enough where you see Greg develop into someone that you think wouldn't be dog meat if he encountered supernatural or even just an angry person at a grocery store.
Right, which is it's big for Greg, and maybe he's feeling that a little bit as he gets a little bit better in the last couple creepy creatures he dispatches pretty quickly and then dodges.
Then maybe like a bond develops where like Greg will even he's got 3 or 4 people surrounding him, supernatural people surrounding him, and he'll like faint one way and be like high beams, and then blast the wiper fluid. They
melt.
Start kind of like working together.
Yes, I love that. And then he tries to hit him with the door, and he action rolls out of the way and like throws his rebar up into the high beams before the truck can flip him on. He's like, not this time.
Yes.
So he finally gets there, has his fun Bruce Wayne into Batman moment, and remembers that always be aware of your surroundings. All right, cool. So now we can get to the maybe flashback as these monsters are taking over New Jersey and taking over to town after town and city after city, moving towards Greg and the dump truck. This human person that's clearly behind it all can be kind of revealed as a higher ranking psi agent defecting for whatever reason we don't know yet, considers the earth basically doomed, humanity doomed, So it's trying to get on the right side of history here by gathering all these creatures together to basically almost terraform the earth, we'll say, to be ready for a bigger, more evil, more creepy monster.
Part of the agency of Psi is a collected bunch of knowledge over humanity's history dealing with these creatures. That's why the Psi agents are so quick to dispose of them. Not only do they have magical weapons, but they know their enemy very well. So this second time we visit our cloaked human figure. This is when we learn that he was actually a very high-ranking, 20 years in service sort of agent. And we see him like thumbing through an old tablet or book or something where he's like, this is the ritual that we can perform to summon summon the power that needs to be here to take over, and it will be our new leader, and I will lead us into this new era. And we get a view into not only his wicked intentions for changing the world, but also his very wicked intentions, and that he was a traitor to humanity and the agency that was supposed to shape the world and protect the future.
That's right. I love that. Exactly. Yes.
Shape the world, working on it. Protect the future, maybe just his version.
Right. Exactly. He's a selfish dude, sees the things the way he wants to see them, not thinking about really anybody but himself at this moment. And so I think this is so that's happening. We learn that, see him marching with these monsters as they're like pulling people out of their houses, and he's maybe a little uncomfortable, but and then like the queen vampire or whatever is like, changing your mind, and he's like, no, of course not. So a little bit of humanity left in him, maybe, at least enough for us as the audience to be like, oh, this is real bad, but this guy's in it now. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's got to kind of follow through.
Maybe they have to sacrifice like a certain amount of like the blood of so many souls collected together will help us perform this ritual. And that's a good place for him to kind of be like, oh, man,
this is going to be gross.
Quite like this. But yes, I'm in. And I think now that we, the audience, know about this traitor and his intentions, can we make it so that our dump truck also has this knowledge?
So that's what I was going to say. So here's what I think should happen next is, so this is happening where these creatures are ravaging a bunch of small towns in New Jersey, again, inching closer to Greg and to the dump truck of doom. And so they got a little time on their hands. Greg and the dump truck do. Training's over for now, or at least taking a break. Some more ham sandwiches go around. And Greg's kind of sitting there on the hood of the truck, staring at the ocean, and the high beams are on, and maybe the truck's kind of moving a bit by itself, and like kind of Greg notices that the high beams are kind of scanning across the ocean, and Greg's like, wait a second, like, what are you looking for something? And the truck kind of maybe hesitates for a moment, and then you hear like a small door open, and there's like a glove box underneath the glove box inside the truck that's hidden, that has an old book in it. And Nick Nolte, then the truck is like, all right, let's talk about it. And so Greg jumps in there and he's like, I've never seen this book before. What is it? Opens it up, and that's where he's able to see what the dump truck knows is this monster that this traitor is trying to summon is going to come from the ocean. So he's there again, ready. The dump truck is there ready to prevent that. That's what it's looking for.
Why have I never heard about this book?
The ritual this book calls for is only performed by a traitor to humanity. The agency felt it was best not to display this.
It was forbidden
to a traitor.
Yep, there you go. Exactly. Classic.
Sure. Okay, so wait a minute. What are you telling me? A traitor to humanity?
Unfortunately, it was one of my previous drivers.
Oh,
that has started to perform the ritual.
Yes,
I can't do it in Nick Nolte's voice
or throw up
without coughing for an hour. But like the truck. So we get, as the audience, I want us to learn that the truck. We already know it's a talking truck capable of helping train a ninja.
Right.
But also the truck is like deeply rooted in this agency. Maybe the spirit that imbues this truck is very ancient.
Is ancient, even older,
knowledgeable, and it's almost like it's like this dump truck might be one of the last bastions of hope for humanity.
Oh, absolutely. I think the dump truck was all that Psy was. It could even be as intense as this trader was like the guy that started Psy originally. It was just him in the dump truck going around fighting demons and throwing them right in the dump truck.
Yeah.
And the dump truck kind of showed up when it was needed, like Excalibur and other magical things like that, where it was needed then 20 years ago or, however long. And so but it's thousands of years old, whatever its intelligence is. Right. Or there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a wheelbarrow from
a cow, Ferdinand.
Wheelbarrow of whales.
Oh, I love that. And so he's been in this fight forever, and this is like the nightmare scenario. Someone summons this creepy ritual and summons the ender of worlds out of the ocean, and it's all over. And so now Greg is like, well, yeah, it is all over. You're a dump truck, and I've had 45 minutes of training. Like, we're not going to be able to stop.
A rebar.
Right. Exactly right. I'm allergic to pet dander. I'm not the guy
that's regular milk.
Save the world. I shouldn't even be having this much bread.
Plus, my own agency, the people that were there to shape the world and protect the future are the ones responsible for this.
Right. Exactly.
Screw this. I'm not I'm not Nick Nolte.
Right. And he's like, who? Right. And he maybe he does walk away. He just walks away from the truck. While he's like, again, he's kind of going back into his shell, starts to walk down the road a little bit, and just has to think by the ocean. And yeah, but he's contemplating, right? Like, I'm either dying the minute they get here or 30 seconds later. Like, I'm not the guy that's going to stop this old truck that talks. Maybe I've lost my mind. Like, what's real, what's not. I'm certainly not the guy to save the planet. And yeah, he's just down on himself. He's kind of feeling lost and
since we're
failed.
Kind of just making movies up here, give me that movie, I would say this is the time when we borrow the rights to James Earl Jones's voice, which are now by Disney.
Yeah.
He's passed, rest his soul.
Yep.
And switch the dump truck's voice to James Earl Jones. to imbue a more exactly specifically Mufasa, and just like this is where the dump truck has to fight his battle and remind our protagonist that heroism comes from perseverance in the face of impossible odds.
Yes.
Which is why I've chosen to show you. I can't do James Earl Jones.
It's close.
Which is why I've chosen to awaken and show you my true form. I'm not asking you to do this alone. The odds are impossible, nearly so that the two of us could do it together. But I will ride this ride with you. Yes. And kind of like invoke some hope and remind Greg of how he felt when he went to grab that JCPenney suit. Because Greg is in his bones, he's a good dude. He only does the right thing, so much so that he gets overlooked for it.
Right, exactly. By the girl in the coffee shop, by other bosses, by everybody. He's just constantly overlooked. I like that. And I think right, I love that. And then maybe James Earl Jones as the truck now reminds him that shape the world, protect the future. Remember.
Anyway,
what the hell was that? Some indigestion. You filled me up with regular again, didn't you? You idiot.
No more unleaded.
And so I like that. So he hears all that, stops in his tracks, turns around, and he's right, jumps in the truck, Greg does, and looks at the crest that's right there on the dashboard that says shape the world, protect the future. And he's like, all right, well, if I'm going to die, I might as well not do it crying, curled up in a ball on the beach. I'll do it inside this truck.
Like so many other New Jersey residents.
Oh, there was something in that acid. Yeah, acid. No, I mean, I'm freaking out, man. Yeah, okay, so that's good. Greg's happy. At least that's not happening to him. So yeah, so we're here probably at like the climax where Greg's aligned, ready to fight. The truck's ready to be super badass, and these monsters, led by this traitor, are here at the Jersey Shore, ready to complete this ritual. A path of blood and dead people behind them, which we just couldn't prevent. You know. But they're preparing and have prepared for the showdown. And maybe there's a little bit, actually, before that happens, we could have a fun, maybe Home Alone style setup where the dump truck's like, or maybe Greg is like, you know, if we're going to do this and we're going to fight all these demons, we're going to need a little bit of help. And the truck's like, well, it's a little bit late for that. Everyone you know is dead. Thanks for reminding me. And then Greg takes the wheel and they drive to the junkyard, where Greg dumps all the supernatural
in the river.
Odds and ends. Well, some were in the river. I think some could be in this supernatural.
I can hold my breath for 34 seconds.
Or maybe it's down at the bottom of this river. At any rate, a dump truck graveyard river dump thing that's accessible, and Greg's plan is to kind of grab some of these supernatural odds and ends, old weapons of other creatures and crashed alien craft and whatever get his hand on, and bring it up to the truck and be like, let's set some booby traps, let's soup ourselves up. If we've got hundreds of monsters to fight, let's use their own weapons against them. And so there's a fun other montage there.
Center console opens up,
right.
There's a bunch of tiny little screwdrivers in there.
Perfect.
All right, get to work, kid.
Get to work, kid. Don't do that. That's not what you think it is. Right. This looks like a bazooka.
What are you doing with a gargantuan penis?
Right. That's an alien sexual organ. Oh,
It's hard when it's flaccid.
they're always hard. So there's some learning that happens there for Greg as well, learning the hard way, literally. And
Don't cut yourself on that, kid.
that's right.
4 hours will feel like a dream.
I know it sounds great. Let's put it in the back. We'll save it for later. Not my tailpipe, the trunk, the back. Not yet. And so they do that too. Gather some weapons, set some booby traps up around the boardwalk where I think this showdown is going to happen. And so now they've done that. They give themselves a bit of a fighting chance. They have the home field advantage now. Booby traps all over the boardwalk and neighboring buildings and whatever. Souped up weapons on the truck. And so now we're at the climax where all these creatures show up on the boardwalk, and it's the dump truck and Greg as the last line of defense between this ritual being completed and the end of the world, right?
Yep. So perhaps like another quick James Earl Jones moment, like
got it, love it,
reinvigorating your spirit. Like remember, kid, it's not a matter of who we've lost. It's just a matter of who's still here. Now let's use some of those non-phallic ingredients. And show me what you got. And the kid like crawls through the window, gets in the back of the dump truck, and just starts hurling these like homemade improvised explosive devices towards the group of creatures, and more and more they start emerging from the ocean. They start being surrounded by them, and and the truck's like,
how you doing, kid?
He's flashing his high beam, picking up a bunch of gas.
Right.
He's like, I'm down. I only got 2 left, truck. But we're going out with a bang. They're my 2 biggest one. He throws them, and the truck's like,
get inside, kid. I'm not done yet.
Yep. I like this. And this could probably be, and maybe that the trader's like sitting there the whole time, watching, kind of laughing, holding the book. They got like, yes, excellent.
Our numbers are endless.
Right. Keeps throwing more creepy creatures at him as they're blowing a lot of them up. And all right, so this moment happens where they're surrounded. Maybe they're shaking the truck back and forth, and the truck's just kind of like revving his engines.
The Vampire Queen,
right, climbing on it.
Wolf King,
yep,
show up.
Yep, I like it. Ready for this battle. They're all, maybe most of them are right on top of the truck, and the Vampire Queen's like, "What are you waiting for?" And he's like, "This is it. The truck is the key." And she's like, "What?" And so inside the truck, Greg and the truck Greg's like, "Oh, this is it. I'm gonna die, but good, great knowing you, truck, and this is where I'm talking to you right now."
Probably bad idea. I'm gonna try and eat this sandwich.
Right. I know I'm having a lot of bread. I have a lot of indigestion. I haven't pooped in 3 days. But the world's got to be saved. And the truck's like, "No, we're not done yet. It's now. Now is the time." And Greg's like, "What are you talking about? Now's the time." And then the truck maybe says something, again, kind of cryptic, like,
"Move to the center console.
Move, sit in the middle.
Move to the bitch seat."
Right. And he says, "Push it. Push the button."
Yeah.
And Greg's like, "What button?" And then he looks down at the crest that says, "Shape the world, protect the future." And it's kind of like, oh my gosh, is this a button? I'm looking for other buttons. He's like, "I got the radio, I got the e-brake, and then touches the crest and is like, "Oh, okay, weird. It's moving a little bit. It does this before." Pushes the crest in, and that's when we have some sweet Autobot action. That's when this amazing Nick Nolte dump truck of doom takes its final form, its most badass form, with all these monsters drape on the side of it. Like maybe this huge explosion flies out of the truck, chops most of them in half, and then it turns into basically something from Pacific Rim, some sweet,
yes, like a 20
feet tall, a Jaeger,
yeah, a Jaeger,
yeah,
a Jaeger.
Yes.
So the kid almost like ends up wearing this truck as a suit.
Yes.
It's a dump truck, so it's pretty sturdy.
It's got a huge rear end.
A little twerk to knock some of the
100% twerking people into the fucking
it.
moon.
like a giant, like an arm machine gun sort of cannon
Yes.
thing. And
Here we go.
"You aim, I'll hold it steady. You aim and I'll fire."
and he just like points his arm at like the Vampire Queen and just
Right. Yep.
like
With light weapons. Yeah. So this dump truck full of all kinds of surprises. And again, remember, like the crest, which is, I've said it a bunch of times, shape the, what is it? Shape the future, shape the world, protect the future. That truck was all of size, so it stands to read at one point when this trader guy was just him in the truck. Stands to reason it's pretty powerful, and that like that motto was always referring to the truck. That's why it's able to do all this stuff. It just kind of carried on when it became an agency. But so that's what we're watching right now, is this awesome Autobot type, Jaeger thing.
and he can actually shape the world.
Right.
Like, he
That's
starts
good too.
Sinkholes in the beach, and like
Yes.
50, 100 of these monsters start getting wrapped up in them, and like giant sand walls fall down and crush things. It's like destruction on a massive level.
And Greg's like, "What's happening? Are we doing this? What's going on?" Like he's freaking out, but kind of having a blast. Definitely the monsters are starting to be scared. Right, Vampire Queen's dead. Werewolf King howling, running into the woods with the tail between his legs.
"Use your fencing, kid."
But how about this? So like the tides seem to be turning, but maybe traitor evil side dude is still staying there with his hood on, kind of smiling, being like, "Yes, yes, closer now," under his breath. And like, so they're through the beach, beating up all these monsters, and Greg's like, "There, the one on the hill, he's got the book, just like the one that we have here. He must be,
He's in uniform."
Yeah, exactly right. He's the one. I recognize him, even though he has the hood on." And so
It's Victor Thorne.
there, whoa,
You should have known he was evil the whole time.
fucking name. I love that. So all right, so it's Victor Thorne. And so Victor Thorne's standing there, not running, as all these monsters are, which like maybe they don't catch on to as being weird at first. They should have, but they're in the moment, a lot of adrenaline, blowing up a lot of things, having a blast. And they get up to Victor, And what does he do? Pull out a staff, use a book, use a knife. Like, I think this is a part of Victor's plan.
So
it's
I think,
part of the sacrifice he has to make to release this creature.
Yeah, I like the staff idea.
Okay,
it's a
cool.
little more sinister.
Love it.
And he pulls this like ancient, gnarly, it looks like an old walking stick. Pulls it out from underneath his jacket and like stamps it on the ground.
And this is the truck like, no.
As soon as he pulls it out, the high beams like kind of flicker down to just a low fog light. And the radio maybe like flickers a little bit, and he stamps the staff down on the ground, and you see in the sand like this
EMP
carving,
burst. Okay.
like not like a like the Devil's Star, but something kind of
creepy.
That,
Got it.
And it ended up being this force cage, and you see the truck just kind of frozen in motion. And Greg's like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yes.
I can't move. I can't move." And the truck's like,
I can't move.
This is what Nick Nolte says every morning when he gets up.
Come back at 12.
Bring me an omelet in
I
bed.
can't believe he learned the ritual. How did he learn the ritual?
Right. Yes, I love this. So he's used some horrible dark magic to trap this truck, and starts doing bad guy monologuing that reveals that it's all part of my plan to trap you right here. You are the final piece. If I destroy you, like, the power inside you is big enough to bring him back to the surface.
Yes.
And
we don't even need to define him.
We don't.
We already know he's
some terrifying thing in the bottom of the ocean that will destroy the world. Maybe we've talked about him on other podcasts. Maybe you know exactly what we're talking about. And
Sleeping Dreamer.
There we go. And so the truck's frozen, and maybe it like falls to the side. Greg's holding on, but kind of slammed down and thrown out of the truck when it collapses. And Victor's just laughing like, yes, yes. And maybe there's a big purple ball above his staff or something magical and creepy happens. And Greg's kind of laying there next to the truck in the sand. Again, they failed, right? It's all for naught. They sure beat a bunch of zombies and ghosts and stuff, but
we already know that
it doesn't matter.
We already said our numbers are endless.
Everyone's going to be zombies and ghosts soon.
I don't know how consequential this is, but maybe he offers Greg, he's like, lowly dump truck driver. It is not too late for you to join us.
Right.
Like, tries to maybe even lure, like, as he's been flung from dump truck of doom.
Right.
Tries to recruit him.
You were nothing at Psy. I can put you next to me.
Like an opportunity for Greg to gain power.
Yeah.
But I think the story we've seen Greg evolve now, and we know he's a good dude, but it's just an opportunity for Greg to have the same sort of second thought that Victor did when he saw the people get sacrificed, where he's like, maybe I could save myself.
Right.
And I think Greg has that thought, and I want you to see him struggle to make the decision, even if briefly.
Yeah.
And when he decides, he's like, no, I'm not doing this. Even if I can't fight you and I'm just stuck here in the sand, I'm not going to join forces with you. And I think that is a good enough moment for Greg or some, I don't know, give me some magic, Harrison.
Well, right. I think he stares at the dump truck's face, the front of the truck, and his lights are flickering, and he's doing Nick Nolte groaning.
That won't be hard to get in the sound booth at all. It's just ambient Nick Nolte.
That's right. Just him moving around his house. We can just put a mic on him. And he's like, no, I can't abandon my truck. I can't abandon the mission. Like, I can't. What am I gonna just live with a bunch of monsters forever and feel good about myself? Like he's like, there's no way. And maybe we can have James Earl Jones come back with his remember.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe it just says remember the mission. And Greg's laying there with the keys to the truck in his hand in the sand, and he's holding them and kind of looking down and flips it over, and the crest is on the back side key fob. And again, it says, right, it's not the unlock button, it's not the lock button, it's not the panic button, it's the badass button. And so he pushes that crest, and the key fob turns into like a flaming sword.
Yes.
And so Greg's like, oh shit, here we go. And it forms in his hand, and evil Victor Thorne sees that and it's like, it can't be. Like, you know, and maybe I lost that sword 1,000 years ago, or whatever. Some, you know, maybe it's something he's seen before, but he immediately knows like it's powerful enough to stop him. And so Victor tries to run towards the ocean with the book and the staff and finish the thing. And the truck is laying there going, do it now, throw, trust yourself. And just like he threw the rebar into the truck to block the high beams from blasting him in the face again, he throws that sword. He throws that sword, and it goes right through like Victor, into the staff, into the book, and they just all explode into flames and dust on the beach and fade into the sand beneath everyone's feet. And Greg has done it. You saved the world from all these monsters. Maybe all the monsters fly back into the book first, Jumanji style. Like, we can clean up the monsters that are left. They're probably not a lot after that awesome
cleaned up.
Or maybe some escape. We can leave room for a sequel. There's the Wolf King is out there somewhere.
That's fair.
Going through people's garbage like a cone goblin.
Well, and you can never really defeat evil.
True.
But if movies can teach us anything, you can overcome evil when it gets really strong and
beat it up and scare it for a bit.
And so I think that's a really good way to finish the journey. There's still like a Beer Me That Movie wrap up that has to happen now.
Sure.
Like now, okay, so Greg has grown into not just a badass warrior, even if clumsily so. He's learned the secrets of the truck.
He certainly has, but Psy is still destroyed, and I think like it could be it's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's very similar to the last scene of the first Men in Black when they go and recruit more people to join the Men in Black. But whatever, it's a common scene where like Greg's ditched the suit that he once idolized. He's back in his, Carhartt overalls or whatever. And he's, maybe they're black and he looks a little cooler than he always has, but he's still ready to work and own that he runs the dump truck all day. And he's got his brother with him maybe now, who's still an idiot and not really sure what's happening, but he's rebuilding Psy and walking into the coffee shop where maybe he had some girl who kind of paid attention to him more than anyone else is sitting there, and maybe she was into some supernatural stuff, and he puts his hand on her tarot book as she's working there and pushes it aside and says, you want to see this stuff for real, get in my sweet dump truck, which is a great line. Everyone should try once. But I think it could almost end for this movie. I know we put a bow on a lot of them. We kind of have, but I think the takeaway is now it's Greg's time. He's at the top of a 2-person and 1 dump truck agency, trying to recruit more to make sure that the creatures of the night never have a chance at taking over the planet again. And
I really like the wrap up with the coffee shop girl. We could have played her into the story more early on to show off.
Maybe we will,
visible,
right, as a movie.
And then the real wrap up is, I think maybe a lot of guys, I don't know, but like the real wrap up of the story is that Greg was oppressively underconfident. Not that overconfident is actually worse, but
right.
he was never proud enough to stand up for himself. And through this journey with actual evil, it ends with him just like confidently, but not over so being able to say, hey, I've always noticed you look at these tarot cards, and actually I kind of work in an industry like this.
Right,
I'd love to take you out in my dump truck and show you what it's all about. Wait, you have a dump truck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty cool truck. It's really old, but I love dump trucks. Fade to black.
Right, I love garbage. Can we go in the junkyard together? That's great. I love that. Love that.
She comes walking out of the coffee shop and Nick Nolte's like,
Oh my God, a dump truck from a dump truck.
That's the last line of the movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Did that truck just talk? Come on in, sister. All right. Cool. Sweet.
dump truck of doom.
We did it.
Saving the world.
Saving the world one dump at a time.
So remember to shape the world and protect the future, and we'll see you in 1 week.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following. Thanks for telling people about this podcast. But we're done. We're toast. So, as always,
Peace.
punch.
Give me your lunch.
Give me a lunch.